I feel like happiness is in the day-to-day process.
Yeah, process.
Of doing stuff that you love with the people you love, for the people you love. And I think that's what success is.
Say that again, because I gotta get that
I don't even know what I said. That came from the heart. All these presidents went to Harvard. Like, why couldn't Chris Egi be something special? You know.
I love that.
It seems
referring
like
to yourself in the first person. Go on.
It seems like you're
No, man, it's good. That was very well said. Okay, I know you probably get this all the time, and it's a bit like it was maybe shallow analogy, but I think like the more I listen to you talk, the more I think it's so true. There's definitely a lot of similarities between you and Obama.
Oh man!
And you get that all. I know you probably get that all the time.
You know what? Not as much as I would like. I appreciate you.
No, honestly, and like.
Let's go. Check. She ain't gotta tell me what to do with it. I already know. Been knew I had a juice with it. Y'all ain't ready though. Outside, got the vision going.
Like, we diminish the qualifications of people from certain groups, women and people of color, and I think that is what those programs are about. Where it's like, how do you succeed in an environment that is naturally predisposed to diminishing your qualifications?
America, super polarized political climate right now. Do you ever get any, especially on a topic like police brutality, which is very, very controversial, do you ever get any pushback from people or any sort of like criticism? Or
Yeah.
Really?
For sure. But, I think fundamentally, I just know what's right in my heart. And I try and live by what I think is right. At the end of the day, if a man says I can't breathe 11 times, like, you release the chokehold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
you talk like, and then even listening to your voice, I noticed you get the most animated, the most passionate when you talk about things like diversity and race and all those kind of issues. But now you're working more so for corporate America. It's like, why are you working for corporate America, which is fine, as opposed to like going to something more in the social impact realm?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a question I struggle with sometimes, honestly. I believe there's immense value in the experience of working in corporate America, and I feel like I've learned so much about finance, about business, etc. through my experiences in the workforce. I feel like, especially at a young stage of your career, it's great to like learn within structure. Well, I think there's value to both sides of it, right? Like, I feel like when you talk about social impact work, for like example, no more names, like I finance a lot of it with like the money I make from my job. And, Robert E. Smith, I don't know if you know who that is.
Smith.
Robert F. Smith, yeah. He paid for a whole class of people, student debt, right? So like there's some value in that corporate, I think, in terms of providing capital to the needs of the people who are, doing social impact work.
You know how you said you can focus on two things?
Yeah.
If you focused on basketball and just trained hours on end, do you think you'd have achieved your goal of making league?
I don't know. I feel like
instead of going to Goldman Sachs from 9 to midnight.
Oh, and during the summers?
Yeah,
that could have. I feel like it could have potentially made a difference. Yeah.
Even before Goldman, that's actually a very good question too.
Like just growing up, if I just played basketball, I feel like honestly, like part of what made me a special basketball player was the fact that I had other components to me.
Yeah.
So you said you're comfortable talking about this, so whatever you feel like comfortable saying, feel free to talk about it. Your father passing away. Sort of like, what impact did that have on you? How did what if you don't mind, if you get it, whatever you're comfortable sharing, essentially what happened and how did that impact you?
Yeah, he just he had liver cancer. It was won't talk too much about that component of it, but how it impacted me.
Sorry, also about like when he was alive and then after he passed away.
Yeah, how it impacted me. My dad was kind of a hero source to me. He came to Canada when he was 16 with like nothing, like delivered pieces to pay his way through college, like just definition of a hustler, like went from nothing to something and was able to send all of his kids to like really good schools. The type of guy who would like never say no. So like a story that I feel like epitomizes my dad, and it was just recently told to me. My sister and myself, when I was finishing kindergarten, we're going to go to a private school. My brother, who is older and was in third grade at the neighborhood Catholic school, my parents had planned to like maybe send him to a private school when he was like 9th grade for high school, and that would be more affordable, etc. my brother, I don't know, he's a smart kid. He comes up with like a presentation basically on why he feels like he should go to private school too. Because I want to learn, just like my brother and sister, I want to be able to go to a good university because it'll help me get a good job. It'll help change my life and the life of this family. Like a third grade kid, like talking crazy. And at that moment, like my brother has no clue that like, I can't really speak to what the financial situation was, but like, that's like an extra sum of money that people were not planning for, right? Yeah. And it was very easy to say like, okay, this is what the plan was. Like, we understand that, but like maybe later. And like my dad is just like not the type of guy to really say no to something like that. I mean, he's the type of guy to say like yes and like, okay, and now I have to work extra to figure it out. Yeah. And like he is the type of person who sacrificed a lot to be able to, for me to live the dreams that I'm living right now, for me to be who I am, my dad gave up a lot. And, you know, what I struggled with initially after his passing was the idea that he never got to enjoy the fruit of his hard work because he spent like his whole life working to set us up. It's like, now that we're set up, now he can just like, okay, be him. Yeah. But, taken away before that could happen. But I feel like, you know, what I've come to terms with was that like his dream is us, you know, like for me, like, you know, you dream, and I feel like I write on my Instagram, I am my father's legacy, I'm my father's dream, and like I'm the living embodiment of that. And so when I go out every day into the world, and you know, what I stand for, who I am, and what I work for is a representation of my father and his legacy. So that's what I try and stand by. And, you know, it's funny, I watched The Lion King the other day. And, like, it's interesting because, like, it really hit me in a lot of ways because, like, that's kind of what The Lion King's about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, you don't really think about, like, okay, this is like a kid's movie, et cetera, but, like, it's real themes of, like, this young man lost his father. And, you know, he had to figure out the world and figure out who he was. And then he realized that, like, my father still lives within me. And that's, like, that was a powerful movie. And I'm with you, I cried when I watched it, you know. Yeah. Don't tell everybody, but I cried when I watched it because, you know, like, there's a scene where he's like, yo, Dad, wake up. Dad, wake up. And, you know, it brought me back to, like, you know, when my father passed, like, thinking similar things.
Bain and Goldman, how did those job opportunities come about?
Yeah, so they both came about through just campus recruiting. So, like, Goldman was funny because I was actually looking for a summer job in Toronto. And I was just looking. I didn't know much. I didn't really know what Goldman was. I knew it was a big company. A few of my friends had, like, applied. And I was looking for a summer job in Toronto, and I was like on the school campus page, and I was scrolling through, and I was like, oh, Goldman has an opportunity in Toronto, so I click. I go through the application process. I get an interview. I remember after hearing that I got an interview for like an investment banking role, I called my cousin who had worked at Goldman previously, and I was like, so what's investment banking?
After you applied.
Yeah, I had no clue, and he like walked me through it, and like it was like a real period of like, I had to learn quick.
So again, Harvard is a school that probably one of the best schools in the world. If someone says to you that, Chris, you know, like I want to go to Harvard, I want to go to an Ivy League school or a top school like that, what advice would you give them?
Oh yeah, no, it's a transformative experience. I would say in order to have that type of transformative experience, like if you're like a high school, you know, freshman, and your goal is to, you know, maybe one day go to Harvard, I would just say that, you know, I feel like if you set your goals on being the type of person that you think would get into Harvard, which is just, you know, being just like someone, I feel like Harvard tries their best to cultivate a class of like special human beings. And I think like if your focus is, you know, less on getting into Harvard and just focusing on becoming a better person, whether that's learning more, focusing on your academics, becoming more well-rounded by, you know, academics, sports, extracurriculars, giving back to your community. I think if you do all that stuff with like the right intention, and that intention not necessarily being going to Harvard, but being like a better you, because like I was like, yeah, I would love to get into Harvard, but like, you know, a lot of the stuff that I did that got me into Harvard, like I did independent of getting into Harvard, and independent of a focus on getting into Harvard. It was like, I want to be the best basketball player I can be. I want to like be the top student in my class. Like those were like personal things that I wasn't doing to impress Harvard. I was doing it because I wanted it.
Yeah.
And like I think setting those type of personal goals were like, this is something I really love, and like I want to excel at this. I think that's the type of stuff that'll get you into Harvard. I feel like we live in a society that's kind of been built upon this idea of domination and exploitation, and
we're just talking about
a zero-sum game of like, for me to win, others have to lose.
That's right.
Or even like, for me to win, others have to lose, and I won't talk about the fact that other people are losing.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we should reorient our society, and what I think like my vision for society is, and like what I think success is a society in which, you know, your success is measured not only by how happy you are, but how happy you make others. And like I really like on my goal board, like I have like sporadically placed all over the place just the word love.
Right.
I'm like living a life in which people can feel a spirit of love coming from you, and I think if you can transmit that feeling on a day-to-day basis and make people feel like they're loved. I feel like happiness is in the day-to-day process of doing stuff that you love with the people you love, for the people you love. And I think that's what success is.
Say that again, because I gotta get that quote.
I don't even know what I said. That came from the heart.
Let's go. Check. She ain't gotta tell me what to do with it. I already know. Been knew I had the juice with it. Y'all ain't ready though. Outside, got the vision going.